Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to take these ingredients and turn them into pumpkin protein muffins. So if you want to see how I do that, then just keep on watching. Alright, so I actually found a recipe from a blog called masonfit.com. It is run by a man named Mason. I will have the recipe linked below. I did do some modifications based on the things I had and just things I wanted to do differently, but I pretty much followed it mostly, but I will have in the description box every step I did, so if you guys want to follow my version, then you can. So the first thing I'm doing is measuring out the almond flour. He does have the cup amounts as well as the gram amounts. So I went with the gram amounts just because I feel like that's more precise, and I have a food scale, so I figured why not use it. Then I'm going to measure out the protein powder. His recipe actually calls for PE Science, but I have Phorm pumpkin spice protein powder. So I did go based on the grams rather than the scoops because the grams are a little bit different with the Phorm, so I figured I would go based on the grams just to keep it exact to what his recipe was, and it worked out great. So that's exactly what I did. Did 62 grams like the recipe called for. I am just combining all the dry ingredients. That's the first step to the recipe, is combining the dry ingredients. So I am taking the pumpkin pie spice. I was trying to measure it out originally, but then that wasn't working, so I just did the half tablespoon measurement with a spoon rather than weighing it. Next, I'm going to add the baking powder. The recipe called for a half teaspoon. Then this is what the dry ingredients look like mixed together. Looking good so far. Then I'm adding in the wet ingredients. He says to do this gradually, so that is what I'm doing. The first thing I'm adding in is the half tablespoon of vanilla extract. He does say that this is optional, but I decided to add it because I figured it will add some extra sweetness to it, and I do have a sweet tooth, so I wanted these to be on the sweeter side, so I added the half tablespoon. Then the recipe calls for 3 eggs, so I'm just putting those in one at a time, kind of breaking up the yolk and then adding the next one, as you'll see here. Then I'm going to weigh out the canned pumpkin. Again, he has the cup measurements. It's actually 1 cup or 240 grams. I just figured it'd be easier to weigh it out rather than dirtying another thing. And like I said, I have the food scale, so might as well use it. And I just scooped this into my measuring cup and weighed it out, and then I added it to the mixture. I'm sure that this is an integral part of the recipe. I think this probably gives most of the pumpkin flavor as well as the moisture to the muffins. So I've actually seen a lot of recipes call for pure pumpkin like this, mainly pumpkin recipes, but I think that it does make a difference in the consistency and everything. And it was pretty cheap at the store as well. It was not too expensive. This recipe is actually pretty affordable aside from the protein powder, but if you were to only base it on the scoops, the cost per scoop, then I still think this is a pretty reasonably priced protein recipe. Then this is what the batter is looking like once everything is all combined. Looks pretty good and looks very batter-like. Then I decided to stray from the recipe and add some mini chocolate chips. I like sweeter muffins, and like I said, I have a sweet tooth, so I decided to add the chocolate chips. You could very easily omit this, or even maybe add some nuts or oats or something like that. You can probably play around with the toppings or whatever. I wanted to do chocolate chips because I felt like that would add a really good chocolatey sweet flavor. I ended up doing 4 servings, which was 60 grams of the mini chocolate chips. And after I tasted these, I think that the chocolate chips were definitely a good choice. For me personally, it probably wouldn't have been sweet enough without the chocolate chips. So, but if you don't like super sweet stuff, not that this turned out to be super sweet, it's definitely not super sweet, it's edible. You could just leave out the chocolate chips if you want it to be more of a toned down sweetness or just the pumpkin flavor. But I think pumpkin and chocolate go really well together, so I'm really happy that I decided to add these in. And then now this is just a little bit something extra that I did. Since I am macro tracking, I wanted to make sure each muffin was even. So I'm weighing out how much total batter I have and then just dividing that by 8 servings, since he does say the recipe calls for 8. You could easily modify this, and if you wanted to do mini muffins or larger muffins, you could just, break it down into the different servings that you want. I went with the 8 and I measured it out, so each muffin got roughly 70 grams of batter. And again, you don't have to do this. You could easily just put it in, just eyeball it, but I wanted it to be more precise, and I already had the food scale out and the measuring cup dirty, so I figured I might as well just take that extra step and measure it out. Then, as you see here, basically I just put the whole thing on the scale, tear it to 0, and then wait until it says -70 as I'm scooping. So, I think this one ended up being like -69 grams, and it would just be too much of a pain to try to get it to be perfectly 70. So 69 is fine. That 1 gram isn't going to make a huge difference. I just wanted them to be all relatively close in grams. That way I figure the macros are pretty consistent across each muffin. And I'm just doing this for all 8. And you just tear the scale out with each muffin. That way you don't have to try to keep track of any counts. You just do it until it says 70 or whatever your grams for the servings are. And again, you don't have to do this. You could just eyeball it. It's up to you on how strict you want to be with the recipe macros. And I ended up baking mine for the 23 minutes. He did have 23 minutes to 26 minutes. I did 23 and they ended up being done. So you can just play around with the time and watch them. And this is what they look like before the oven. And here they are after. They rose up very nicely and they became a nice golden color. They're tasted delicious. I absolutely am very happy with this recipe. Now, really quick, I wanted to show you how you can create a recipe in MyFitnessPal to get the macros. He does provide the macros on his blog, but since I did things a little bit differently, I wanted to create my own. So you just click the blue plus, add food, and then you can go up to the right-hand corner on the top and click plus, create recipe. Then you just you click enter ingredients manually. Then enter the name and the serving. So you can play with the servings. If you want to do more or less muffins, you can do that and you will get the macros for however many servings you put in. Then you just click add ingredient, and you can either use their database and search for items, or you can scan it with a barcode. I personally like to do it with the barcode just so I don't have to type things in. And then you just adjust based on how many servings you used of each thing. And then at the end it will show you the macro ratio. I'm not showing you exactly how I did it here, I'm just showing an example. But this is a really handy tool to get macros for recipes that you create. I really enjoy using this. I don't track in MyFitnessPal, but I do use it simply for this purpose. I really hope this video was helpful for you guys and that you enjoyed watching it. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe before you go. I'm going to try to do more recipes on my channel as I am trying to improve my cooking skills. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!